Hey everybody, welcome in. Welcome to IA Q&A Sunday. This is the time where I answer your questions. I wanted to record this outside, but believe it or not, there is a blizzard. The sun is shining and there's a blizzard and it's freezing cold and it's way too windy for the mic. So we're just inside. So hopefully the weather will change real shortly. So without further ado, first of all, thank you to everybody for being here. I have a list of questions up on a board over there. And we have 7 questions today. And they're all relatively quick. So we'll just, as usual, jump right in. So here we go. First one is from Silvery Water. Why not just buy Bitcoin rather than MicroStrategy? If Bitcoin will outperform MicroStrategy, or is there an advantage or disadvantage in buying one or the other or both? Very good question. I get this a lot. And hopefully I can address it once and for all for everybody. First of all, MicroStrategy is an on-ramp that many people have access to. Some people can't access Bitcoin directly. That's the first key point. Second of all, MicroStrategy is optionable. So you can get a lot of leverage very simply by doing things like selling puts, buying call options, buying leaps on MicroStrategy. Although the option premium is extremely expensive, that's why I like to sell stuff to buy stuff, and that's one of my key strategies. Now, the other thing as well, sometimes MicroStrategy falls to a point where it actually has a lot of arbitrage opportunity. What I mean by that is the intrinsic value of MicroStrategy before they started buying Bitcoin was about $1.2 billion. And a few weeks ago, MicroStrategy fell to about $540 a share, which meant the actual intrinsic value removing their Bitcoin holdings was actually about 900 million instead of 1.2 billion. So there's a $300 million arbitrage opportunity, and that's why it was oversold in the marketplace. And that's where I recommended, it was a great time to buy. You could either buy the equity or leap options or sell puts or a whole host of different strategies that we uncover within Patreon. Now, the other thing to bear in mind is you can look and map the correlation between the Bitcoin price and MicroStrategy, and they are extremely well correlated. In fact, sometimes there's a little bit of a lag between a Bitcoin spike and then MicroStrategy spiking. And if Bitcoin spikes in after hours, of course, MicroStrategy doesn't move, and that's an issue. And hopefully one day markets will be 24 hours just like crypto, because it's much more fun. So I hope that answers your question. They are different, but it's a very good on-ramp to take advantage of this crypto revolution and Bitcoin price appreciation, especially when you can buy it cheap, especially when it's undervalued. So we'll see where it goes. And I also have a spreadsheet I'll make available to Patreon that prices out MicroStrategy based on different prices of Bitcoin, so people can see exactly what the true value should actually be. So thank you for that question. Second question is from Ryan Hartley. Do you think Bitcoin will outlive every other coin and altcoin? Well, this is a hard one. I think Bitcoin obviously is the blue chip of all cryptos. It's the 800-pound gorilla. It's the first, it's the best, it's the trailblazer. It is the most pristine store of value, where a lot of the other altcoins have specific capabilities like DeFi, like logging an asset, an NFT asset or something on an exchange that can be resold or tokenized. So it's a tough question. I do believe 90% plus of all the altcoins will shrivel up and die over the next 2 to 4 years. That's a given. Some will survive, and those that will survive have a very specific use case and are very good at what they do. So we'll see what happens. Again, as you know, I'm very bullish in Ethereum. I think one day Ethereum could actually surpass Bitcoin in terms of market cap if they nail the whole DeFi business, the whole DeFi space, because that could severely disrupt the insurance industry, the banking industry, etc., as well as be a store of value. So we'll see where that goes. But good question, hard to say, but I think for the next 5 to 8 years, Bitcoin will remain the number one coin of all. Okay, third question. Rod Azarmi, do you invest in ARK funds? I know you were a big fan of Cathie Wood. Excellent question. Yes, I'm a huge fan of hers. I think she's brilliant, very smart, And she is a disruptive investor and shaking things up in Wall Street and with traditional asset managers. Now, in terms of ETFs, I don't like ETFs just like I don't like mutual funds because, your typical ETF could have 60 to 200 stocks in it. Mutual funds can have much more. And there's going to be a lot of crap in that mix. And I'd much rather be like a sniper where I can pick and choose exactly what I want. So imagine ARK ETF has 60 stocks or 58 stocks. I'd like to look at it very carefully and analyze, okay, immediately kill the bottom third. It's easy to do. Then look at the top third and break that top third into kind of ones at a stage of their life, which ones are really truly transformative, which ones are really leaders in their space, which ones have the biggest moats, and then from there decide who I want to play with. So I do look at what they trade, I look at what they buy, I look at some of their key holdings, and then I cherry pick the ones that I believe are aligned. Now, there have been cases where, for example, Cathie Wood got out of companies like Illumina when I was going in. So we don't always agree. My models are sometimes a little bit different to hers, but most of the time we are pretty much aligned, and I do get some good ideas from her and her team. So brilliant question. From Fly Heli, would you be worried about the stock price with the latest released rankings for dependability of Tesla vehicles? They are way below industry average. So I've owned a Tesla X for more than 2 years. I've never had a problem. And most of the people I know with Teslas have never had a problem. Now, because of social media, sometimes something will happen to a car. I don't know, a wing mirror could fall off, or a piece of paneling off the roof could fly off, or some people are not happy with the upholstery of the chair. But you buy this car not for the inner fittings of a $120,000 Porsche. You buy it for its safety, its cost, which is extremely low to run, very, very low cost of running. And third, the safety. And I can't stress enough the importance of that. You are driving a mobile computer that can alert you to danger and get you out of troubles like no other vehicle can. So that was a big deciding factor for me, is the safety factor of the car. So I know a lot of people will gripe and complain about things. They expect the sun, the moon, and the stars, but you're not buying a traditional car. Now, that being said, I've never had a problem with mine. It's a brilliant vehicle, and looking forward to my next one too. I'm torn between the Cybertruck and the Model Y, but I just don't know when the Cybertruck will be out, but that'll be my first ever truck. So, good question, but don't worry about those reports. Again, a lot of people like to throw FUD and mud at Tesla when they can, so that's not a concern of mine though. Question from Boonleng Chon. He said, how did you decide to get out of the rat race? Was it swing trades or options for steady income, or long-term holdings that reach some level? So, good question. Again, not investment advice, but I think the best way is, first of all, the secret to get out of the rat race is be very patient. As I always say, be that hunter in the woods, or be that sniper, whatever analogy you want to use, and wait for the right things. And then when you find them, use things like leap options, covered calls, put selling. These are all strategies I've used very successfully for a long time. But the real secret is you can't always be in high risk things, in the stock market and crypto are very, very risky. But when you do make some money, take it, put it aside, and invest in something safe that generates perpetual income in a very safe, tax efficient manner. That would be things like real estate, maybe buy a franchise. So don't always have your eggs in a stock market basket or a crypto basket, but use that to make some money. So what I like to do is break things into thirds. Second time I'm saying it in this video. You've got your safe, dependable income generators. Then you have your solid stocks that you hold for a long time. It could be things like Tesla, etc. And then you have your risky plays, crypto and strategic leap options, covered call strategies on the other third. So that's kind of the way I look at things. And of course, I manage depending on the market. And I get very concerned when things get very lofty and I move out. I move to cash. I keep dry powder, or I hedge my bets by selling out of the money call positions against my long positions. So that's how I kind of play the game. But it's hard to articulate all of that in 2 minutes, but I hope you got some ideas there. Okay, Peter Helander asked a question. Is there an official list of companies owning Bitcoin outside of their own disclosures? No, there's no official list, but there is a website called Bitcoin Treasuries. I actually help the guys using a different application with some suggestions to things that are either out of date or wrong or things that they are missing. And the team there is great. I think it's just one guy behind the scenes. But I'm sure there are many, many other companies that have bought Bitcoin or they just simply don't disclose it. They don't want to rattle their shareholders. Maybe they don't need to disclose. Maybe it's a mid-sized company that's not even public, but they bought a whole bunch of crypto. Who knows? I know a lot of universities have bought crypto. They haven't disclosed it. I know that SpaceX, it was just announced from Scaramucci that they have a big Bitcoin holding. Again, nobody knew it. They did it. So there is no official list, but I guarantee you there's a lot more treasuries out there. There's probably 3, 4, 5, 10 times the amount that's actually publicly listed on bitcointreasuries.org. So good question. And eventually we'll find out. But I think these big companies are just acquiring all the time. You can see it in the charts. You can see anytime anything dips a little bit, the coins just get snapped up. So great question, Peter. Thank you for that. Final question of the day from daddy_OP. What will happen when the crypto you have loaned as a down payment on your house in a bear market suddenly becomes less than the outstanding loan? Very simple. So let me just paint some numbers on this particular scenario. Imagine Bitcoin's at $100,000 and you go to one of the sites, there's about 5 or 6 of them now, that will give you fiat against your Bitcoin as collateral. They typically give a 50% loan to value ratio. So if you have a Bitcoin worth $100,000, they give you $50,000 in fiat. Now imagine Bitcoin falls to $50,000. Your loan to value ratio is now 100%, they'll want it at 50%. So if that dip happens in real time, you will get a $25,000 margin call on that $50,000 loan. And if you don't pay it immediately, they will sell half your Bitcoin to pay it. Or in that case, it could be all of your Bitcoin. That's why it's still a little bit dangerous. And I think before anybody should do it, again, I'm always about risk management and conservatism. Be careful. Make sure you don't, put your assets on the line, because Bitcoins could snap down. Imagine it is at 100,000. It could snap to 50,000. You get margin called out, and the next day it could bounce right back to 100,000. You never know. And that's the risk. So if you are lending, make sure you have lots of collateral. So for example, if you've got 10 Bitcoins and the value is 100,000, only borrow a certain amount so they can access that collateral, so they don't give you a margin call and they don't sell your assets. It's the most important thing. Okay, fun question of the day. This is from Misa. What do I do for fun? So I haven't told you directly, but I love to scuba dive and I love to sail. I love to windsurf. I love to surf. I love to do anything pretty much in the water. So I just don't have much time. Anyway, thank you all. As always, look forward to catching up real soon. Take care and keep the questions coming. I love doing this every Sunday. Bye.